Sound to your mind.
Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Breathe. I stay quiet as I light on my loud light. Breathe. I balance diet, I'm just trying to get my pounds right. Shouts all on my team, I need more than a mattress support in my dreams. Could grab a few Zeds like I'm falling asleep, but I don't wanna wake for the morning grief. Breathe. Tears drop to the form in the sea. A broke heart, but it's worn in my sleeve. Never listened, I was warned in my teens, but I still skipped school, I was taught in the streets. Ring back, don't call for police. Stand tall, don't fall for the beast. Got issues with trust, so I'm born to believe. We've been a victim of love and now we're caught in it deep. Breathe.
Yes, people, what's happening? And welcome back to Gav Goes In. Obviously, we're going to carry on this World Cup series. Obviously, got two more teams to do, Holland or Netherlands, as we call them. And then tomorrow will be Argentina. So, yeah, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this, discussing every 26-man squad from all the major teams. And then doing the likely formation and giving my prediction on the chances of those teams in the World Cup. Looking forward to this World Cup as well. So, as I said, man, yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Big up to Foxy Danny and big up to Babs One Diva each and every time. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen again for those of you that have been tuning in regularly. So, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go through each player that's been selected by Ronald Koeman for Holland's squad. And at the end, I'm going to, do the likely lineup that I think Ronald Koeman will go. And then I might change a few things to do my formation or my team as well. So as always, guys, make sure when you come through, you put you smash that like button, you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. And yeah, make sure you give me your comments and your questions and let me know what you think of Holland's chances in this year's World Cup. And guys, if you got any transfer news as well, make sure you put that into the chat. And if you haven't seen my short from earlier today, Eduardo Camavinga apparently has been made available for transfer. Big Up Yourself says, do you read the chat? I read my chat all the time. Again, I only go on to things that really stand out. Again, if you're someone that is a regular part of the channel and you're here all the time, then again, there is some leeway there. But as I said, I do go through my chat. So again, if you've got any transfer news to put in there or anything you want to discuss, then yeah, put that in the chat and I'll do my best to get back to that at the end. But I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go through each player that's been selected by Ronald Koeman for Holland. So we're going to start off with Bart Verbruggen of Brighton. Now, he is someone. He definitely is someone that I do think is a top keeper. By the way, I think in terms of the future, keepers around Europe, I definitely do think he is one that is definitely going to be up there. I think him, Sene Lamens, I'm looking at those two in particular, especially in this league. Those are going to be the two keepers I think that will be, two of the most important keepers in world football in the next couple of seasons. 38 appearances, 10 clean sheets, 106 saves, and then the 46 goals conceded. And again, I believe he's only young as well. I think he might be what, 23? I think he might be. And again, I think he's one of them players, one of them goalkeepers for me, very good with the ball at his feet, very good shot stopper as well. And I think from crosses as well, he's very good. So again, he'll have a chance to be starting for Holland. And again, they've got, for me, someone else that could be in contention, but I'm looking at Verbruggen to be probably the number one for Holland in this tournament. Moving on, and we move on to Bayer Leverkusen's Mark Flecken, again, formerly of Brentford. now up by Leverkusen, 24 appearances, 5 clean sheets, 79 saves, and then the 38 goals conceded. And again, had a decent season at Bayer Leverkusen. When he was actually at Brentford, I actually think he was a very good keeper, and under Thomas Frank as well, he was very consistent for them as well. I mean, I was a little bit surprised he actually did go to Germany, but as we know with Brentford, they more or less are a selling club, and I expect at least one of their players to be sold this season as well. But again, Flecken, decent keeper, only the 5 clean sheets, so I wouldn't expect him to to start necessarily. But again, he's in contention for me with Bart Verbruggen. And then the third keeper, which is Robin Roofs of Sunderland. And again, when I see left-footed goalkeepers, I do like left-footed goalkeepers. I just think they offer something a bit different. And he's had a very good season, 35 appearances, 10 clean sheets, 109 saves, and then the 46 goals conceded. And again, I think it might be his first major tournament. I think it might be a case. I'm not sure how many caps he has for Holland. I don't think he has any caps, if I'm honest. But I think for the season he's had, and again, he's another keeper for me. He's probably got a big move in him, if he continues what he's doing for Sunderland, because he's been very good. And again, Sunderland getting European football, he was a massive part of that. So he's been a key contributor for them. Moving on, and we move on to the captain, Virgil van Dijk. There's a lot of people out there that don't really rate Van Dijk like that anymore. And to an extent, I hear it, because I think, if we're talking about 2-3 seasons ago, you would probably say, he was definitely the best defender in world football, and what I like about Van Dijk is that Van Dijk is very composed on the ball. He's passing off both feet. He's always been there. He can read the game well. Doesn't really engage into too many duels. A lot of people say that's because he always retreats rather than trying to front up someone. And he's a leader. He's a pure leader. I don't think there's no one that would have seen him coming from Southampton doing what he's done for Liverpool. I think I'd have to say now, I think he's 32, 33. You'd have to say that he's he is getting past his best now. And I think Liverpool definitely need to be looking at someone beyond Virgil van Dijk. And again, but he's still going to be a key contributor for Liverpool in terms of his experience and his leadership. But 34 appearances, 24 tackles, 147 clearances, 72.8% aerial duels won, 68.2% total duels won, 41 interceptions, and the 22 blocks. And again, he's definitely going to start for them. He'll play every game. And it remains to be seen, how well he does. And I think this could be a good tournament, to get his name, a bit more popular in terms of around Europe. He's rated highly in the Premier League, but I think around Europe, I think there's a few people that might have, taken an eye off Van Dijk a little bit, in my opinion. Moving on, and we move on to Manchester City's Nathan Ake. His career, you would say, has been plagued by injuries. Formerly of Chelsea, formerly of Bournemouth, and obviously now at Man City. And I'd say he's one of them defenders, Nathan Ake. He's very reliable. He can play centre back, left back, could probably play DM as well. 24 appearances, 21 tackles, 39 clearances, 54.8% aerial duels won, 56.1% total duels won, 13 interceptions, and then 4 blocks. And I think it'll be touch and go whether he starts. And I think the only way I could possibly see Ake probably starting is if Netherlands play a 3 at the back. I think he might get the nod, but then again, they have got other players that can play there. So, but again, he's a very reliable defender in terms of you can play him in 2 different positions, and he'll always give you like a consistent performance. But I think the injuries, and consistency might be up against him. Moving on to Mickey van der Ven. Now, I'm a fan of Van der Ven, but I think there's no denying, that Tottenham just stayed up, and you have to look at Van der Ven, as part of that defense that almost got relegated with Tottenham. I think the one standout attribute from him is his pace, his recovery pace. And again, his recovery pace, it does, it could almost fool people into thinking, that he's better than what he is, and I actually do think he's a, I actually do think that he's a very good, I'll say very good. I think he's a good defender, but I think there's question marks over, is he a top defender, or is he just reliant on his pace? And I think at this moment in time, you have to say his pace gets him out of a lot of trouble. And but I think this tournament, again, just like you would say Van Dijk, this tournament could probably propel him back into people's thinkings to say that, he is a good defender. The fact that Tottenham stayed up, I think he stays with Tottenham as well. But again, there was interest in him. There would have been interest in him had Tottenham got relegated. But you probably say he's going to stay. And under Roberto De Zerbi as well, you'd expect him to be, a lot better this season. 35 appearances, 57 tackles, 94 clearances, 51.5% aerial duels, 59.5% total duels won, 29 interceptions, and then the 17 blocks. So again, he's got a very good chance to start. Let's see what happens. Moving on to Jan Paul van Hekker of Brighton. Now, I think he's an actually very, very underrated defender. He's been linked with Tottenham as well. Obviously, De Zerbi's there, so De Zerbi knows about him. And again, man, 32 appearances, 41 tackles, 72 clearances, 55.4% aerial duels won, 56.6% total duels won, 26 interceptions, and then the 16 blocks. And I think he's someone for me that is a very good ball player. He would complement, a Van Dijk as well. He's got the experience now in this Premier League. International experience, is still not really there. But again, I actually expect him to be, one of the first names on the team sheet in the future for Holland at the back, because he is a very good defender. And maybe he needs a move so his name can be a bit more, on the map, you would say. Moving on to Yorel Hato, Chelsea's Yorel Hato. And I would say, come towards the end of the season, he was one of their standout players. And again, massively experienced already at his young age. This is a guy that captained Ajax, I believe, at the age of 17. He's a centre-back by trade, but can play left-back. And I think he plays left-back come this tournament for Holland. I think he definitely starts for them as well. But it's whether, he's playing left-back or he plays as a left wing-back remains to be seen. But 33 appearances, 51 tackles, 58 clearances, 46.2% aerial duels won, 54.1% total duels won, 33 interceptions, and 11 blocks. And in a season where Chelsea struggled, you'd have to say his first season, he's actually done very good in a sense towards the end of the season. But he'll be looking to kick on next season with Chelsea under Xabi Alonso. But you'd expect if he has a good tournament, you never know, man. There could be teams coming in for him, or it could go a long way for him to force his way into Chelsea's main lineup. Moving on to Arsenal's Jurrien Timber. Jurrien Timber just come back from injury. He come on in the Champions League final defeat to PSG. 31 appearances, 58 tackles, 49 clearances, 47.1% aerial duels won, 53.3% total duels won, 23 interceptions and 5 blocks. And I think in terms of right backs, again, this is a guy that is a centre back by trade. But in terms of right backs in world football, I'd only have Hakimi and Reece James probably ahead of him, if we're being serious, in terms of his consistency and how good he is. I like João Cancelo as well. but I think João Cancelo has been playing mainly at left back. But again, he's a very reliable defender, Timber. The only question mark is, does he start the first game? And I only say that because is it a case where, he's got to get up to match speed to get into the Holland lineup? And that's what's going to be telling. And then we move on to the last defender, which is Denzel Dumfries of, I'm about to say Inter Milan, but he's just agreed to go to Real Madrid. And to think that they got him for 17.2 million, on a release clause, is good business. I'd have loved Man United to sign him as well on that kind of price, because we need an attacking right back, I would say. But 31 appearances, 28 tackles, 31 clearances, 54.9% aerial duels won, 51.2% total duels won, 14 interceptions and 3 blocks. And I think he is someone, that probably goes under the radar, maybe in this Dutch team. Obviously wing back, he can play right back as well, but he's got pace, he's got strength. He's a threat as well in the attacking box. And the fact that he's gone to Real Madrid and he's been identified by Jose Mourinho, as a key signing, just speaks volumes for how highly he's rated really on the continent. And again, he's going to be a starter for Holland, which is why there was no Jeremy Frimpong as well. But again, the fact that he's gone to Real Madrid for such a low fee, I think many teams might have missed the trick on him, Let me go into some of your comments. Big up yourself, guys. If you got any news, any transfer news, make sure you put that into the chat as well. As I said, I will get back to some of your comments as and when I finish discussing some of these players. I'm going to go on to midfield, and we're going to start off with this guy here, who is Barcelona's vice captain, Frankie de Jong. I think Frankie de Jong, for me, for maybe I'll probably say he's probably dropped off slightly, but for me, he's always been one of the best midfielders in the world. When he was at Ajax, he was a Barcelona player easy. That was the only destination really he had to go to because of the way Barca play. When Man United were linked with him, I was excited, to be fair, because he's a top player. But I was always saying to myself, he should really be going to Barcelona, because the way that he plays, he just slots in there easy. And you think of the fact that there's no Sergio Busquets, he took up that role. I wouldn't say he's Busquets, because really Busquets is a 1 in a million kind of player. But to be fair, Frankie de Jong's is probably one of the closest players to playing as a DM to a Busquets, which just says how good he is. 25 appearances, 5 assists, 1 goal, 23 tackles, lost possession 19 times, 94% pass completion, which, to be fair, is not really a surprise because the guy just keeps the ball for fun. Very press resistant as well. And when you're playing as a DM, being a press resistant player, is crucial. Being able to take the ball under pressure, it alleviates a lot of pressure from your team. Because if you can bypass the press, it allows you to get high up the pitch and start attacking in dangerous positions. And he does that better than most. I think he's one of the most press resistant players in Europe. Him, Vitinha, Pedri, long ball accuracy, 69.4% as well. And again, he's going to be fundamental to what Holland do in this tournament. You look at the spine of Holland's team, Van Dijk, De Jong, those two are going to be pivotal. Both of them experienced as well. And as I said, they're going to be key. Moving on to someone who I do rate highly as well, but doesn't really get too much game time at Man City, you would think. But I think it was more of a transitional period for him. I think a lot of people as well probably looked at him as a slightly more defensive player. But he's as box to box as they come, someone that can run all day. He's a goal threat as well. And defensively, he's decent as well. So 28 appearances, 2 assists, 5 goals, 7 tackles, 51 times lost possession, 91% pass completion, and a 45.4% long ball accuracy. And again, you know, a lot of his appearances have been off the bench. He'll be looking at this season as a way of trying to get into this Man City team. Again, Man City have been linked with, you know, Elliot Anderson, obviously Rodri. This is touch and go whether he stays or not. I think Rodri does stay and becomes a new captain. And all of a sudden you think, well, how is Reinders going to figure in the team? I actually think Reinders next season under Maresca, you know, I think Maresca might use Reinders as his Enzo Fernandez. You know, he might look at him as that sort of player. But come this tournament, Reinders should start, but maybe his lack of game time, I wonder if that works against him. That's the only question mark. But I think Ronald Koeman does rate him, so you'd probably have to say that he does start, but it could be touch and go. Moving on to Ryan Gravenberch. Now, what's frustrating for me here on a personal level, is that although he's at Liverpool, this was a player that I wanted Man United to sign when he was at Ajax. You know, when he wore that number 8 shirt for Ajax, he was linked to Barcelona at the time. He was linked to Bayern Munich, and obviously he made the move to Bayern Munich. I always said to myself, Man United need to go and buy him. They need to go and buy him. And if anyone remembers as well, you know, he was someone that they were earmarking as being the next Paul Pogba. That's how highly thought of he was. You know, went to Bayern Munich, didn't really settle there. You know, come to Liverpool. Obviously, he's won the league with them as well. And you'd have to say that he's definitely a number 8. You know, Arne Slot playing him as a 6. He's not a 6, he's number 8. But it's interesting to see what Iraola is going to do with him actually this season. But he's a very, very, very good player, man. You know, press resistant, technical. You know, he's got physicality as well. He's got an eye for a goal, eye for a pass. And I think next season, I think he gets back to the level that he showed when Liverpool won the league. You know, I think he's a very good player. 36 appearances, so almost ever present. 3 assists, 5 goals, 38 tackles, 75 times lost possession, 90% pass completion, and a 36.8% long ball accuracy. And again, he's going to be key for Holland. You know, as I said, you look at the spine of Holland's team, and you've got Van Dijk, you've got Gravenberch, and Frankie de Jong, and I expect those 3 there to be definite starters come the first game. Moving on to Juventus's Teun Koopmeiners, you know, left-footed central midfielder. And again, just like I mentioned yesterday with the Fabian Ruiz and even the Mikel Merino, I think a lot of people don't really take note of this, And what's this? Bayern Munich looking at Rio. Bayern Munich looking at Rio, and Liverpool have said no. So again, Teun Koopmeiners, left-footed central midfielder, 33 appearances, 0 assists, 0 goals, which is poor to be fair. 16 tackles, 90% pass completion, and a long ball accuracy of 29.4%. The thing is with him, you look at his assists and his goals, which is poor, but what you have to draw conclusion to is the pass completion. And as we know with Holland, just like with Spain, they have players that are very high in the pass completion percentile, you know, because these guys want to keep the ball. And I actually think that, you know, Koopmeiners has a very good chance of starting the first game of this tournament, because I'm looking at the fact that he's shown that he does keep the ball, and that will go nicely with the likes of the Youngs, the Gravenberches, the Reinders. You know, it will go well with them. And he's left-footed as well, which is, you know, a massive selling point, you know, for him to be starting. So I don't think people deep having a left-footed central midfielder, you know, it adds so much balance, because the majority of players that play in midfield in Europe are right-footed players. And if you've got a left-footed central midfielder of quality, you know, these guys are few and far between. So again, I'm not saying he's a world beater, but the fact that he's possession-based, you know, and he's left-footed, again, it's going to be crucial for Holland in this tournament. Moving on to Brighton's Mats Wiefer. Again, someone that's versatile. You know, he can play right back. You know, he can play central midfield. And again, he's going to be like a utility player for Holland. 26 appearances, 3 assists, 2 goals, 33 tackles, 39 times lost possession, 85% pass completion, and a 24.1% long ball accuracy. And again, he's someone for me that is a very good squad member. He's not going to start, but again, he's someone that can cover multiple positions. Moving on, and we move on to another Timber. This time, Jurriën Timber's brother Quinten. From Feyenoord, 34 appearances, 4 assists, 4 goals, 35 tackles, lost possession 44 times, 88% pass completion, and a long ball accuracy of 41.2%. And again, he's another player that's going to be making an impact from the bench. I think he has got a goal in him. I think he's captain of Feyenoord as well. So again, he brings that leadership quality to the squad. The fact he's twin brothers in there as well, Jurriën Timber, there's going to be that kind of relationships and camaraderie in the squad. And he's actually a decent player as well. So again, man, another good squad option. And then we move on to Atalanta captain Martin de Roon. And what's actually mad, is that you look at Holland's squad so far, you look at Van Dijk, he's captain of Liverpool. Mickey van der Ven, obviously when Romero's out, he's the captain. You look at Yoro Hato. Hato was captain of Ajax at 17. You look at Frankie de Jong, he's the vice captain at Barcelona. And then you've got Martin de Roon, Quinten Timber, they're both captains of their club. So they've got a lot of players in their squad, that have leadership qualities. And come this tournament, it is going to be crucial. Again, de Roon, very experienced, 34 appearances, 2 assists, 1 goal, 48 tackles, 18 times lost possession, 90% pass completion, and a long ball accuracy of 38.2%. I think in this tournament, I don't think he starts. I think before he was a starter, but I think the fact that there's other options there, I just wonder if he becomes a squad option in this tournament. But again, having his experience, having his running power as well, someone that can get around the pitch, in these kind of tournaments, it's going to be needed. So that's probably when, as I say, he comes to fruition for Holland. But again, very experienced. And then we move on to Gus Till. So the last midfielder, Gus Till of PSV, 29 appearances, 5 assists, 14 goals, 11 tackles, 43 times lost possession, 82% pass completion, and a long ball accuracy of 50%. And I think out of all the players in this squad, he is probably the one that is least known. But having just looking at his numbers, he's definitely got an eye for goal. And again, he'll be used as an impact sub, maybe in one of the wide areas, might go centrally, who knows. But as I said, man, they're bringing goal. He's bringing goals to this squad for sure, because 14 goals and 5 assists is not actually a bad return. What I'm trying to say. So yeah, it's crazy, man. 19 GA, you'd probably say. So yeah, he can look at that and think that's something that off the bench, he might have his influence there. Right, let me go into some of your comments before we go on to the forwards. Messi's the GOAT. I don't know what Messi has to do with this one, but I hear it. Big up to Mamba says, yes, Timber. Yeah, Timber. The thing is, I would start Timber, but I wonder if it's because of the injuries, if he does get the nod to start the first game. Because he might not have any match practice. So, let's wait and see. Anyway, let's move on to the forwards. And we move on to Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay still going strong. Obviously playing in Brazil as well. I think he's at Corinthians. 23 appearances, 13 goals, 5 assists, 28 dribbles, lost possession 110 times, 104 touches in opposition box, shot accuracy of 52.3%, shot conversion of 21%, and then a pass completion of 79.5%. Now the thing is, I'm actually not sure if he actually starts, because if you look at since the player burst onto the scene, he's always been a starter for Holland. I wonder if Holland go in a different way and play with a target man, or do they stick with the pie and then have different players coming off the bench to replace him? I don't know, but I'm looking at the formation that they could play, means the pie might get another start. The only thing I would say about this Holland team, because I've got them set up in a 4-3-3. I don't actually think they're going to play the 4-3-3, and I'll tell you why. So I need to change the formation. I actually think they're going to play the 3 at the back. Yeah. But again, I think the pie definitely, I think he definitely starts for Holland, massively experienced. Again, I think he's the vice captain when Van Dijk doesn't play as well. So again, massively talented player. And to be fair, he does produce in tournaments for Holland, Moving on to Liverpool's Cody Gakpo. 36 appearances, 14 goals, 7 assists, 39 dribbles, 121 times lost the ball, 153 touches in the option box, 54.1% shot accuracy, 18.9% shot conversion, and an 83.2% pass completion. And he's a weird one, Cody Gakpo, because he's one of them players, that he performs better for Holland than he does for Liverpool. With Liverpool, he's very hit and miss, but with Holland, he actually shows up. And I think he is someone that, although I don't really rate him that highly, he definitely starts for Holland. I think he's considered by Ronald Koeman, as one of his key players, whether people like it or not. Because for me, I think he's a good player, but he's nowhere near like a key player for me. But he is someone that he does pop up in key moments for Holland, man. And don't be surprised if he doesn't get a couple of goals in this tournament, because that's what he does, and I actually think he starts. It's just, I think if they play the 3 at the back, I think he gets the start. Yeah, I think he plays regardless. Moving on, move on to Roma's Donyell Marlin, formerly of Aston Villa, former Arsenal product as well from the youth. 29 appearances, 11 goals, 4 assists, dribbles 31, lost possession 98 times, touches in the opposition box 114, shot accuracy of 49.3%, shot conversion of 16.4%, and then a pass completion of 78.8%. Now I look at what I look at what Holland have in their squad, and he's potentially the only player that can play out on the right hand side, which is why I actually think Holland go to a 3 at the back, But he's one player that in their squad, he can he can get a goal as well. He's hard working, and I look at him as more of a surprise factor. He's more of a surprise factor in the sense that, if you sleep on him, he's someone that can surprise. I don't think he's a great player by any means, but he's someone that you can't really sleep on, because he does show up in games where, if the game's going against the run of play, like for Holland, he might get a goal, or create something, but I don't expect him to start really, unless, because he's the only player I'm looking at that can play on that right hand side if you're playing a 4-3-3 or if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, which is why the fact that Xavi Simons is out injured, I think Xavi Simons could have been a shoo-in to start, Moving on, and we move on to Ajax's Wout Weghorst, formerly of Manchester United, formerly of Wolfsburg as well, and Burnley. So 28 appearances, 10 goals, 3 assists, 4 dribbles, lost possession 63 times, 89 touches in the opposition box, 57.8% shot accuracy, 22.2% shot conversion, and a 71.4% pass completion. And I think he does his damage off the bench for me, Wout Weghorst. I think when you watch the last World Cup, when he come off the bench and got the equalizer to take it into extra time again. Oh no, was it extra time or to take it to penalties against Argentina? I think that might be his role again. And again, he's very good in the air, aggressive as well. His link play is actually decent as well. So I don't think teams should be sleeping on that. But I don't think he starts. I think his role is going to be as an impact sub. So moving on. And we move on to Galatasaray's Noah Lang. Obviously on loan from Napoli, formerly of Ajax as well. 25 appearances, 8 goals, 6 assists, 48 dribbles, lost possession 134 times, touching opposition box 97, shot accuracy of 50%, shot conversion of 17%, and a pass completion of 81.3%. And again, left winger, I actually think he's going to be backup, to a Cody Gakpo out there. But again, he has got a lot of talent, Noah Lang. There have obviously been question marks over his attitude, that you keep hearing about certain players, as they always like to say. But he's a very good player, man. Very good player. I just think that his role again will be, if Cody Gakpo on that left-hand side isn't putting up any trees, then Noah Lang, off the bench, fresh legs, could prove pivotal for them. So that's what I think his role will be. Justin Kluivert of Bournemouth, the son of Patrick Kluivert. Justin Kluivert, for me, the way that he's kind of transformed his game, because I never saw Justin Kluivert playing as a number 10, I'll be honest. Kluivert was a winger, but the fact that, he's playing as a number 10, I think kind of speaks volumes for how well he's done. And, 33 appearances, 9 goals, 4 assists, 34 dribbles, 112 times lost possession, 101 touches in opposition box, 47.6% shot accuracy, 14.5% shot conversion, and a 76.9% pass completion. And the fact he's been out injured as well, for a little while for Bournemouth, the fact that Koeman's put him in the squad just shows you how highly he thinks of him. And again, he's someone that can play out on the right. So, he's another option, just like Donyell Marlon, that can play out on the right. But again, I'm just wondering what Koeman does. Does he go with the 3 at the back, or does he go with the 4-3-3? So if he goes with the 4-3-3, or a 4-2-3-1, let's say, then Kluivert could have a good chance, to figure. But we're going to go through the lineup in a bit and we'll see. Crescencio Somerville. I'm actually glad he's in the squad because I think he's very underrated. This is a guy that was, doing damage for Leeds United, especially in the Championship, has had a very good season for West Ham. And I just wonder, the fact that West Ham got relegated, in actual fact, he's not going to stay at West Ham because he's already played in the Championship and he's already shown that the Championship, he's above that level. I actually think there could be a surprising team that comes in for him. And I think this World Cup probably might put him on the map as well. 31 appearances, 7 goals, 5 assists, 52 dribbles, 146 times lost possession, 122 touching opposition box, 46.2% shot accuracy, 12.1% shot conversion, and an 80.6% pass completion. So again, the fact that he's in the squad, I'm actually happy for him because, he's been one of West Ham's best players this season, along with Matthias Fernandes and Jared Bowen. And I think it's one of them things that he's not going to start. So I think it's his first major international tournament. But what a player he is to have off the bench. And I look at the wide players that West Ham have, one thing that stands out from a lot of those wide players, they've all got good pace, so I just wonder how much game time he gets. But for sure, he's going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem for if he comes on with fresh legs as well. And then the last player, we've got none other than Sunderland's Brian Brobby. Now, you know what I'm laughing with Brian Brobby, yeah? Because when Man United were linked to Brian Brobby, I was like, they cannot be bringing in Brian Brobby, formerly of Ajax as well. And Brian Brobby, for me, isn't my type of striker that I like to watch, yeah? But even I would say, yeah, just being honest, at Sunderland, I've actually been quite surprised because he's actually been very good. I'll go as far and say, yeah, he's been one of the standout strikers this season in the Premier League. Like, he's been good. And the fact that he's in the squad, it's not really a surprise. He's got that physical presence as well. 31 appearances, 7 goals, which ain't great. 1 assist, 18 dribbles, 87 times lost possession, 164 touches in the opposition box, 59.6% shot accuracy, 21.4% shot conversion, and a 74.2% pass completion. And again, his numbers ain't great, yeah, but I think it's what he brings to it's what he brings to this Holland front line. He can hold the ball up, he's aggressive, he's got decent pace as well. And I think he could be in terms of this whole squad, he could be the surprise factor. Again, I don't rate him as a top footballer, but he could be the surprise factor for them in this tournament. And it's one of them things where I don't think he starts for Holland, by the way. I think he might be used as an impact sub. But you could, because you've got Depay, you've got Wout Weghorst, and you've got him that potentially will be playing through the middle. But I'll look out for him because he's he could surprise people in this tournament, because he's had a decent season for Sunderland, and obviously they're in Europe as well, and he's been a big part of that. So let's see what he does. So that's every 26 man squad for Holland. I'm going to go through some of your comments quickly before we move on to the lineup. Big up to Fitz. Big up my guy each and every time. Big up to Christopher McGrath as well for coming through. And guys, as I said, if you guys have got any transfer news, make sure you put that in the chat and we'll discuss that afterwards. And again, if you haven't seen my short from earlier today as well, make sure you guys go and give that a check because I see some news, man, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited now. Eduardo Camavinga, I'm getting excited because there's talk about Eduardo Camavinga being available for transfer. So again, if you haven't seen my short from earlier today, go and give that a check and make sure you comment and let me know what you think. So what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna share my screen. And we're going to go onto the lineup. Just bear me 1 minute. So yeah, we're going to go through the potential lineup for Holland come this tournament. So again, I've set it up for a 4-3-3, yeah. But I'm actually going to change it because I've got a feeling he might go with the 3 at the back. So yeah, let's change this formation quickly. And again, let me know in the comments what you think the formation or the team might be. So I actually think, he might go for a... Yeah, I think he goes with a 3-4-2-1. I think he might do. I think he might go with a 3-4-2-1. I could be wrong, but I just got a feeling because, again, if you look at the right wingers that Holland have had, the last inverted right winger they've had that of top quality was Arjen Robben. And if you look at their squad now, they haven't got no right wingers. As I said, Daniel Marlon, can play there, but probably prefers playing through the middle. Who's the other player they got? They've got who's the other one I mentioned? Yeah, Justin Kluivert can play there. I'm pretty sure all their wide players can play there, but I think with Noah Lang, with Crescencio Somerville, they're probably more. They'll probably say that they'll probably be playing, probably prefer playing on the left hand side. So I think that's why they might go for the three at the back. And we're going to go through their team now. Yeah. So in goal, I think it's going to be Bart Verbruggen. Again, it could be Flecken. You know, it could be either one, but I think Verbruggen, with the fact that he's had a good season for Brighton, I think he actually gets the nod to be the first choice number one in this tournament. And then the back three, guys, yeah? The back three, I think he does this. I think Timber plays right side the three. Obviously, Van Dijk is the captain. He'll be in the middle. And then the left side, you know, it's going to be between Nathan Ake and Mickey van der Ven. And I think Van der Ven plays because of his recovery pace. But again, don't be surprised if it is Ake. But I'll go with Van der Ven because when you're playing three at the back, you need pace in the wide areas. And Timber's got that on the right-hand side. And Van der Ven definitely would have that. If I'm looking at that back three there, it's actually quite a decent back three. And this is why I said, yeah, if you look at Van Dijk, yeah, the fact that Van Dijk's getting on a bit now, yeah, Van Dijk needs pace around him. And I think you got Timber, you've got Van der Ven. These guys have pace in the wide areas to help him out. So I think Van der Ven and Timber will play either side of Van Dijk. And then we move on to the midfield. So I think he does this, which ain't really a surprise. Frankie de Jong. And Ryan Gravenberch. So again, looking at that team there, yeah, the three at the back, the two midfielders in front, and the goalkeeper, that spine there is actually very good. You know, Verbruggen, Timber, Van Dijk, Van der Ven, de Jong, and Gravenberch. You know, de Jong and Gravenberch will be patrolling that midfield. Van Dijk's got the protection in front of him. He's got the protection either side of him as well. And I guarantee you, if they play this formation, Van Dijk will be fine. He'll be fine because, as I say, he's got pace either side, and he's got someone in de Jong and Gravenberch that want to keep the ball. You know, so I think Van Dijk will thrive off that triangle that he's got in front of him, and then the two either side. You know, and all of a sudden that team looks solid. And then the wing backs for me are going to be Denzel Dumfries. You know, obviously just signed for Real Madrid. And then on the other side will be Yoro Hato. So again, yeah, I've got a feeling Ronald Koeman does this. I think that will be his. Yeah, his front eight. I'm sorry, that'll be his eight. I think from goalkeeper to midfield. I think that's what he does. I'll be very surprised, yeah, if he doesn't play a three at the back. If that's not the team, I think the only thing I would say, and I'm glad someone said it, yeah, Hato shouldn't start. I'll tell you why I think Hato starts, yeah, is because if you look at their squad, he's the only left-footed player that can play as a wing back, as a wing back or left back. The only other player in the squad is Van der Ven. Ake can play left back. They could play a four at the back. Yeah, but I think the fact that there's no outstanding right winger, I've just got a feeling they could play three at the back and have Denzel Dumfries as their orthodox winger come wing back, you know, and then Hato on the other side. And Hato could be slightly more defensive and then have Denzel Dumfries as more attacking. And then all of a sudden, you look at that team there, that team is solid for me. It is solid because you've got pace in the wide areas from left side centre back, right side centre back, and then the two wing backs. And then you've got ball players in the midfield, the experience and leadership of Van Dijk. That looks solid for me. Yeah. I think moving forwards is where it gets kind of interesting. Because as I said, yeah, they haven't had a left-footed right winger since Arjen Robben. Yeah. Xavi Simons as well. He's out injured. And I think if he was fit, he could play on that right-hand side. But they've got a lot of wingers, guys. Yeah. So in these front two positions, yeah, it's basically the two tens. Now, if I look at the tens they have in this squad, you've got Justin Kluivert, Reinders can play there as well. Cody Gakpo can play there. You could probably say Noah Lang as well, the pie. But I actually think he does this. Yeah. I think he plays. I think he plays Gakpo. And this right side is difficult because Kluivert's been out injured. Reinders hasn't had much game time. And again, Coop Miners can play where Gravenberch is playing. But I think if you're playing this formation, you don't want to play Reinders. I think Reinders needs to be playing more attacking. So he could do this. He could play Reinders. And then Memphis Depay. Put over in there. That's mad. What's going on there? So yeah, he could. I reckon he does this. So again, I reckon he could do this. You know, Depay, Gakpo, and Reinders. And you know what it is? Looking at that team there, that's actually a good team. That's a team there that I would say quarterfinals they could get to with that team. And let's not forget as well, yeah, this is the three at the back formation. You know, they could go to a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. If you go with the 4-2-3-1, you could have let me change it now and just change some of the players. So I'm saying that he could go with this formation. As I said, you got pace in Dumfries and you got pace in Dumfries in the wide area, pace in Yoro Hato in the wide area. Hato could be slightly more defensive as he's actually a centre back by trade and can play left back. And then you got Denzel Dumfries again, who's a right back, right wing back. Urian Timber, right side centre back. Van der Ven, left side centre back. And you got pace in the wide areas there from defensive and attacking wise from both sides. Van Dijk will be the conductor, the leader. Then you got De Jong, Gravenberch will be playing in this area here and just dictating the tempo of the game. Very press resistant, both of them as well, which is key. And then you've got Cody Gakpo. Although he's starting off in a 10, does play out wide for Liverpool. So he can start from central and drift out wide. Reinders, you'd expect to be playing a bit more central and allow Denzel Dumfries to dominate this side of the pitch. But he can go there if need be. And then you got Depay as well that can drop in there and hold play up. Yeah. But alternatively, yeah, they could actually go to a 4-3-3. And then you could play Gakpo out here. You know, Gakpo could play out there. But of course, you can play Gakpo there. You could play Crescencio Somerville there. Noah Lang. On this right-hand side, you know, they could play Justin Kluivert, Daniel Marlon as well. You know, you could play Brian Robbie. You know, Brian Robbie could play there as well. And then in this here, you could play Frankie de Jong will play right in the central. You know, Frankie de Jong could be there. You know, and then you could play Coop Miners. Obviously, he's left-footed, so he'll add balance on that side of the pitch. So Coop Miners could play there for being left-footed. That side, this side here, you could play Quinton Timber. You could play Reinders, Gravenberch. Let's put Reinders there. And then left back, you know, you could remove Denzel Dumfries and play Yoro Hato here. You know, Nathan Ake could play there as well. You know, it could be Van der Ven, Van Dijk, Van Hecker, and Van Dijk. You know, Timber at right back where he plays. So again, they've got loads of options, yeah, that they could do. You know, I think the three at the back probably gets the best out of what they've got in terms of the skill set. But then if they want to change things during the game, you know, they could go to out-and-out wingers. But the only problem is they haven't got really a right winger. They've got players that can play there, but they haven't got an out-and-out right winger. But as I said, man, they've got a lot of variation in their team. You know, they've only got, well, Ake can play left back. You know, he can play left back. So, you know, but I think Hato will be first choice, whether it's left back or wing back for me, you know. But again, they've got a decent chance, man, if they play this team, you know. So yeah, that's the Holland lineup. And as I said, I think this Holland team for me, I think Holland can get to a quarterfinals, I think, with that team. You know, it depends who they meet, of course, you know. You know, oh, again, Val Vehicles can play through the middle as well. It depends who they meet, but I think in terms of the squad that Ronald Koeman has picked, it's a decent squad. You know, do I rate Ronald Koeman? I think he's all right, Ronald Koeman. I think Ronald Koeman for me is a bit like Didier Deschamps. You know, Didier Deschamps has a fascination with Rabiot. Ronald Koeman has a fascination with Cody Gakpo. You know, so they're a bit similar in that sense. But if he plays that 3-4-2-1, I think Holland will be all right, man. I actually think they'll be all right. But just whether he does that. Big up to Bazwan Diva. Guys, make sure you're smashing that like button as well. Make sure you're subbing to the channel and make sure you you share the channel. I'm actually going to watch the women's qualifier, Spain versus England, starting now. I think that'd be a good game. Let's go through some of your chats. Diamande to PSG or Liverpool. I heard his preferred club is PSG, but I also heard Liverpool will place a 112 million bid for him, which could force PSG to sell a player so they can place a bigger bid. I'll be honest with you, yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think they're wasting their money getting Diamande. If I'm deadly honest, I think Liverpool has spent a lot of money. Yeah, I don't think it'll be good business for them to spend 112 million on Diamande. You know, if Liverpool had brains, yeah, you know what they should go and do. As I said yesterday, if they want to get a Mo Salah replacement, you've got what's his name, Dango Utara at Brentford, and you've got Yankuba Minte at Brighton. You know, those two guys there will offer something to Liverpool, not what Mo Salah does in terms of numbers, but in terms of you know, having a similar threat in terms of, you know, the pace and the power. The left-hand side, I mentioned Somerville, yeah? They should go and get Somerville, because Somerville is Premier League proven. He had a good season at West Ham, who got relegated. And if he goes to Liverpool, he's going to have more opportunity to do damage. Yeah. So I don't understand why they're not really going in for a Somerville for that left-hand side. You know, if you've got Somerville and you've got Rio coming through, I think that's decent. You know, obviously Wirtz can play out there as well. Gakpo, obviously, what's happening to him, he can play out there. I don't know why they do that, but to go and get Diamande for 112 million when realistically they need midfielders, they need defenders. You know, you think of Konate's gone. Who they're going to replace Konate with? Going to spend 112 million on Diamande doesn't make sense for me, you know. But that's that club, isn't it? That's up to them. Somerville's a bad man. What's wrong with this? So does the slowing of the game in the States due to heat mean we'll see more teams load the midfield with more bodies in their formations? But you know what? This is a good question, because this is why I've said the fact that the heat's going to be mad in America, yeah, this is why even more the reason to be bringing players that can keep the ball. You know, like this is why for England, yeah, England are going to be in trouble. That England squad there is not winning no World Cup. It's not, because he's gone for pace and power, yeah, and that can only work to a certain extent, you know, because that pace and power, you can't keep that going for 90 minutes. It's impossible, especially in a climate, yeah, where a lot of the players have never played before. You know, so the fact that he's gone for pace and power, when they play up against a team that wants to keep the ball, that pace and power will be nullified. That's the problem. You know, you're going to need players that can keep the ball. So when he's gone for that lineup, it's concerning, really, because as I mentioned yesterday, the only players that can keep the ball for England in that squad, apart from Harry Kane, obviously, who's the striker, is Kobbie Mainoo and Elliot Anderson. The rest of them are all runners. Like, it's crazy. Obviously, Nico O'Reilly as well, Reece James, but they're defenders. But if I'm talking about from midfield to attack, they've got, other than Harry Kane, you know, and Ivan Toney as well, the rest of them are all players that are more effective without the ball, which is crazy to think that they've actually gone for that. He's actually gone for that kind of squad. Personally, I like Nusa, as I spoke about him in Jan. I hear that Somerville chat, but may have already mentioned him as he's gone. Yeah, listen, Nusa is good. He is good, but I think the Nusa thing is probably because it might be the price. It might be, yeah. Well, I don't really know, because he's not going to cost more than Diamande. I just don't know. It's an odd one, but Nusa's more talented than him. But again, Liverpool looking at Diamande as the preference for some reason. So yeah, man, it's that, isn't it? Right, guys, anyone got any more questions or comments before we wrap it up? So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow for the last one, which is Argentina. And a good way to finish off on Argentina, you know. Again, the holders. You know, the one with Argentina might be an earlier one. I'm not sure what time yet, but it might be afternoon time, about 3 o'clock maybe. But as always, keep an eye on the notifications to see when I go live. So yeah. Oh, England are through. Oh, good. Just offside. Yeah, big up Helena from the Netherlands. Big up to yourself, Helena. Let me know what you think here of Netherlands' chance in the World Cup. Let me know what you think, and let me know what team you think Ronald Koeman plays as well. And guys, make sure you're smashing that like button as well when you come through. And yeah, make sure you you sub to the channel if you're new as well. North Korea in the building, yeah? Mad. So I don't see us surviving. The Dutch national team is terrible amateurs. But again, if you've seen my my formation that I've done, yeah, what I think Koeman could play, let me know what you think of this lineup. So I reckon he plays a 3-4-2-1, yeah. So I think it'll be Verbruggen in goal, the back three of Jurien Timber, Van Dijk, and Van der Ven. The two wing backs in Yoro Hato and Denzel Dumfries. Midfield two of Frankie de Jong and Ryan Gravenberch. Reinders and Gakpo in the 10s. And then Memphis Depay as the striker. Let me know what you think of that team, because I actually think that team does well. You know, I think that team does well. And they've got options off the bench as well. And they've got players that can change the dynamic of the game. So yeah, let me know what you think of that team. Big up to Lumi Rain. Big up yourself. Guys, if anyone's got any transfer news, make sure you put that in the chat as well. So I'll react to some transfer news. Again, some of the transfer news that I've seen today, I'm not going to lie, as a Man United fan, I'm feeling a bit optimistic, man, because Eduardo Camavinga could be available, guys. We have to go and get that done. Have to go and get it done. Anyone watching the women's football right now? Spain and England. Vicky Lopez, she's decent this game. Oh, poor pastor. Not had a chance to look at anything today. Yeah, no worries, man. No worries, bro. So I would do a 3-4-3 from the Hato, Van Dijk, Van Heck. Wingbacks from from Van der Ven and Dumfries. De Jong, Reinders, Gakpo, Doniel Marlon and Somerville. Do you know what? That's quite a similar team to me, yeah? And the thing is, I was going to put Van Hecker in there, but But I think Timber plays, isn't it? Because if Timber can't prove his fitness, the three at the back, then Van Heck goes in there. But I think Timber could start the first game. He could start the first game, but if he doesn't, and they play the three, then Van Heck goes into there. The reason why I'd put Van der Ven as a left side centre back and put Hato there is because, as we know with Van der Ven, Van der Ven suffers a lot of hamstring injuries. And if you've got Van der Ven running up and down at wing back, it could aggravate a hamstring injury, which is why I've got Hato there. But as we know with Hato's actually a centre back by trade. And obviously he can play left back as well. But that's why I've gone for Hato as the wing back, Van der Ven as a left side centre back, Denzel Dumfries, yes. So you've gone for De Jong and Reinders. See, I wouldn't put Reinders in the three at the back. Reinders, for me, if Reinders is playing in a 4-3-3, he could be the attacking left-sided or right-sided central midfielder. But when you're playing a 3-4-3, you need players that can hold position and dictate, yeah? And that's why Gravenberch and De Jong together, will be crucial. I think Gakpo plays on the left. So you're saying Gakpo plays on the right or Gakpo plays through the middle? And then Donyell Marlon and Somerville. I don't think... I would start Somerville, by the way. But Somerville's not going to start because I think he's inexperienced at the level. So Gakpo will start for me on the left-hand side. And you've got Noah Lang as well, who's more experienced than Somerville for international football. And I think Depay plays through the middle. But then you've got Brian Brobby, you've got Marlon, you've got Weghorst as well. So yeah, they've definitely got options, but let's see, man. Mbappe to Arsenal has a little smoke recently. I think you're smoking, Lumi. I think you're smoking, to be fair. To be fair, you're always smoking. No, I mean, no poll today. No poll today. What poll do you want to see me put up? Listen, I don't want to see that losers mentality there. Many people say that we will become world champions. Unrealistic thoughts. We will never become world champions. Yeah, but again, you can't have that mentality, man, because it will never happen. I think with Holland, yeah, they're always one of them teams that they always flatter to this. They always flatter to deceive, really, because you look at some of the players they've had: Van Basten, Patrick Kluivert, Edgar Davids, Clarence Seedorf, what's his name? Robin Van Persie, Dennis Bergkamp. They've had some serious players. Jaap Stam. They've had some serious players. And Johan Cruyff. There we go. Big up to Karen. They've had some serious players, man, and they never get the World Cup over the line. And that's the problem. But listen, man. Yeah, but as I said, man, they I don't think they win this tournament by any means, but it could be one of them things, man. They could get to a quarter final, but a lot of it depends on who they meet, innit? You know what I'm trying to say? If they meet one of the favourites, it could get a bit sticky, but yeah, Weefer's in the squad, but Frimpong got left out. And again, Frimpong got left out, because I believe Denzel Dumfries will be the right wing back. And again, if they want to go to a 4-2-3-1, Dumfries can play right back, Timber can play right back, Weefer can play right back, and then you've got Donyell Marlon who can play right wing. Kluivert could play there. So I think that's the thinking behind it. Camera to United, listen. Guys, make sure you go and watch my shorts. It's on the channel. It's on the on my playlist. So under my shorts, I pulled it up literally a little while ago. Camavinga, I'm telling you now, I just got a feeling Camavinga could be at United. The fact that I'm seeing that he's being made available for transfer, Man United have to be all over that deal, man. I'm sorry. It has to be done. So I'm just hoping that, because apparently Mourinho's put up 6 players for sale for transfer, and he's one of them, along with Rodrigo, by the way. Camavinga, Rodrigo at the Theatre of Dreams. Give me that right now, man. Left wing, centre mid. Yeah, if we could do that deal, I'll tell you now, man. I'll be smiling the whole summer. Imagine if Man United got Camavinga and Rodrigo in one window. Imagine that. Crazy, man. Crazy business. I think Germany are a dark horse. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. The thing with Germany, I put Germany in the same bracket as Holland. I put them in the same bracket. Oh yeah, Wesley Schneider, Raphael van der Vaart. They've had some Ryan Babel. Hey, listen, they've had some serious players. Holland, Mark Overmars, Ronald de Boer, Frank de Boer. Listen, they've had some serious players, man. Some serious talent. Even Michael Reisiger, you know about him. But yeah, I think Germany are in the same boat for me as Holland. They could go far, but then again, it depends if they meet one of the favorites. If they meet like a Spain or a France earlier on, I think they could struggle. I want to see though, I want to see Germany or Holland. I want to see them play like a Portugal. I think that'll be a good test. Ruud Gullit. Boy, they've had some talent, man. Yeah, listen, man, they've had some serious talent. Like it's a joke, man. I think when you have so much talent like that, you have to be winning something. Like even if it's a Euros, because they've had some good players, man. It's actually a shame. Yeah, big up, man. Big up yourself. So Gav, the World Cup starts the 11th of June. Yeah, it starts next week. I can't remember who the first game is. I think I could be wrong. It might be Mexico first game. I don't know. Am I from South London? I'm not. I'm not from South London. No, I'm not. Big up, man. Yeah, look at that. Big up to Karen, man. Says Portugal, good game, especially that midfield battle. Stiller, Kimmich, Wirtz, Musiala, Goretzka, not a bad. Listen, it's a very good midfield. Although I don't think Stiller starts. I think Musiala and Wirtz are going to start. Kimmich is going to start. It's whether Kimmich plays right back or they go to the three at the back, and then Kimmich plays in midfield. The Dutch national team does not belong to the top 15 teams in the world. Boy, I don't know, I mean, let's go through them. Spain, France, Brazil, Argentina. That's 4 already. Portugal, 5. Germany, 6. You can throw England in there if you want. 7. Belgium, 8. Oh, 1-0. 1-0 Spain. Belgium, 8. Who else is there? Yeah, Holland are in there. Come on. 15 teams. 15 teams. Are we sure? They're in it for me, man. No doubt. Like, they just have to be consistent. You know what I mean? Shut shit down. Oh, Karen, you're from do you know what? Do you know what, Karen? Yeah, the fact that you've told me, yeah, you're from Germany, yeah. When I saw your name first of all, yeah, I know it's a bit different, yeah. But do you remember, yeah? And I want to say he could be from the same country as yourself, yeah. But do you remember our striker for Germany called Kevin Karanyi? Do you remember him? Kevin Karanyi. Because when I saw your name, Karen, I'm thinking Karanyi. So the fact that you're from Germany, I wonder if you're from the same country as him. Yeah, exactly, man. Holland are ranked 7th in. Yeah, listen. Nah, listen, Karen, calm down. Karanyi wasn't a baller though. He wasn't a baller. He was a decent striker, but this word baller, nah, he weren't that, man. No way. No way was he a baller. Kevin Karanyi, nah, man. I watched him. He wasn't a baller. I know you got to back your compatriot, man, but let's be serious. Yeah, decent, man. Decent. There we go. Brazil, Colombia, Spain, France, England, Germany, Morocco, Argentina are all better than Netherlands. Well, even if they are better than Netherlands, that's not 15. So Holland are in there somewhere. You know what I mean? So nah, I rate Holland, man. I think Holland are good. Oh, good play. Oh my lord. I never thought I'd see this guy's name in the chat, yeah. Miroslav Closer. So Closer for me was the best striker, but for years, poor strikers, honestly, I don't like Havertz, and Voltemada is techie but too slow. Bro, listen, you can't be saying Voltemada's techie but too slow and you don't like Havertz, yeah, and then tell me about Miroslav Closer. You know what hurts me the most, yeah, is that Miroslav Closer holds the record for the most goals in the World Cup over my guy R9. Like that hurts me to my soul, I'm telling you. Because a player like Miroslav Klose shouldn't be holding a record for most goals in World Cup. Like it should be erased from our memories. So yeah, it's mad. And the thing as well, Miroslav Klose is Polish as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Miroslav Klose. But then no, I actually think Walter Marder's good. Walter Marder's good. You know, Havertz, I mean, Havertz is a 10, really. You know, Dennis Undav is decent, you know, formerly of Brighton. You didn't know you didn't know Klose was Polish. Lucas Podolski, another one that's Polish. Yeah, man, Klose's Polish. You know, Lucas Podolski was Polish. Yeah, man. You know what it is? Walter Marder, yeah, isn't my type of player. Yeah. Sorry, let me just get back to this message, yeah. Because I just seen some nonsense. And again, he's an Arsenal fan, yeah. So Havertz ain't a 10. Have you seen him play? And again, yeah, you see comments like this, yeah. It lets me know that once in a while, yeah, you get people that come on to people's channels and they just try to put stuff in there and don't know what they're talking about. If you didn't know, Mr. Iconic, yeah, I know you're an Arsenal fan, but go and do your homework. Kai Havertz is actually a number 10. Go and look at Bayer Leverkusen. Yeah, he's an actual number 10. So go and do your homework before coming on there and putting stuff in the chat like that, because he's actually a number 10. You can even see from the way that he maneuvers, he's a number 10. You know, why do you think Arteta plays him? He plays him as a false 9 because the false 9 position is the closest thing to playing as a number 10. So, yeah, man. Go and do your homework, bro. Big up to Baz1 Diva with the super sticker. Big up yourself. There you go. Big up to Karen. Big up to Karen. Says, go and watch Havertz for Leverkusen and see how he got recognized. That's one for you, Mr. Iconic. You're an Arsenal fan, but you don't even know nothing about your players. You know what I mean? Like, Kai Havertz is a number 10, man. What are you talking about? So, right. So, because he plays there, he's crap. That's not the point. And he's actually a number 10. Like, it's poor to come onto a channel and you know, say he's never played, he's not a 10. He's actually a number 10. But the way football's gone now, yeah, he plays as a false 9. And as I said, the false nine position in football now is the closest position to a number 10 if you're going to play like a 4-3-3, you know? Netherlands, so Japan 0, Netherlands 3. Oh, so you reckon Netherlands will win all their games, yeah? Is that in their group? So they got Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia. Yeah, they should get through that group. But I'll tell you now, yeah, you see Japan? Japan are decent. Japan are decent. I'm telling you. I know they got no what's his name from Brighton? He's out injured. I forgot his name. What's the guy's name from Brighton, guys? I forgot his name. He's out injured. Plays left wing. I forgot his name now. Oh, Mitoma. That's the one. They were trying to say he was going to be the next Ozil. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, if you look at Bayer Leverkusen, yeah, they had Havertz, and then Florian Wirtz took over from Havertz, basically. You know what I'm saying? So again, Havertz was a 10 man. You know, you might see him play as a 9 now, but he was never a 9. It's just because of the adaptations of football right now. You know? Yeah, listen, Japan are gonna be a dark horse. You know what? That's not even a bad shout, man, because Japan are actually dangerous. I can't lie. I think England are gonna have a hard time in their group. You know, Croatia and Ghana won't be easy. Yeah, listen. And a lot of it lends to the squad he's picked, as I said. You know, against the I think Croatia's the first game, yeah. Again, you would expect England to get through their group because even if you finish third, you can go through. And I think if England was to finish third in the group, their path is a lot more easier, you would say. Even though there's no easy path, but it's a lot more easier. You know, but you'd expect England to get through their group. But I'll tell you this now, yeah. If they play any team that wants to keep the ball, they're in trouble because of who they've picked. Like England get him. If we can't top a group with Ghana, Croatia, Panama, we don't deserve to be a nation anymore. Yeah, but again, you have to look at the fact that of the heat that they're going to be playing in. So if they wasn't to top this group, you know, it wouldn't really be a surprise because this heat's going to play it's going to be a massive factor come this tournament. So, but I mean, I'm looking at the Panama game. Yeah, they should be hitting Panama for 6. Like, I don't think that's out of the question. They should be hitting Panama for 6, and Panama's their last game. So, let's say they've already qualified. Yeah, they might even change up their team, but they should be hitting a team like Panama for 6 if we're being serious. Yeah, didn't Algeria beat Holland the other day? Didn't they beat them the other day? Yeah, big up yourself, guys. Make sure you're smashing that like button as well when you come in, and make sure you sub if you're new in here as well. Again, I'm live more or less, you know, daily. Or if I'm not live, I've got some uploads or shorts that I do put up. And guys, make sure you check out my playlist. I've got a lot of stuff on the playlist. You know, check that out. Obviously, I'll be doing a lot of watch-alongs as well come the World Cup. So yeah, make sure you guys are there for that as well. James Garner should have made the squad. Adam Wharton should have made the squad. You know, but where I think I spoke about this anyway, yeah. The reason James Garner's not there is because if you look at the midfielders that Tuchel has taken, yeah, central midfielders, I remember I said this at the time, yeah. He was going to take 4 central midfielders, which is what he's done. Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson, Kobbie Mainoo, and Jordan Henderson. So basically, Jordan Henderson has more or less taken Adam Wharton or James Garner's place or Alex Scott because he's experienced. That's the only thing. That is the only thing. Like, because if you factor in as well, yeah, where Garner can play centre mid and right back, yeah. But so can Reece James. So if you've got Reece James that can play both positions, you don't need Garner. And again, Reece James is more experienced than Garner as well. So Garner was never going, you know. And the one that shouldn't have gone, really, you would say, is Jordan Henderson, because Adam Wharton should have gone. Alex Scott even as well. So yeah, man, it's crazy. Colombia will top their group. Wait. Yeah, but you know what, Karen? Yeah, I mentioned this at the time. Yeah, you see why Maguire didn't go. Yeah, Maguire's been replaced by Dan Burn, and the reason why Dan Burn is there, yeah, the reason why Dan Burn is there because Dan Burn's left-footed, because Dan Burn's the only left-footed centre back in the squad, and he can play left back. Whereas Harry Maguire, you know, you're only gonna play him centre back. You know, and even if you play a free at the back, he can play left side, but having a natural left footer on that side helps for the balance. So again, you know, Harry Maguire was basically being pipped by Dan Burn because Dan Burn's left-footed. Because if Harry Maguire was left-footed, Harry Maguire goes. That's how simple it is, really. You know, that's how simple it is. Gav, was your dad a baller? Is your talent in your DNA? Nah, he wasn't, you know. He was into music. He was a drummer. But again, man, yeah, my talent come from young, man. As I said, like, yeah, my talent from football come from young. Just play. I said to you, I've been playing football ever since the age of what, 6 or 7, you know, in the academy from like 9 up until what, 17, 18. So yeah, as I said, man, it's always been that. Ghana is a Swiss Army knife. I agree. Yeah, big up, man. Listen, you see Didier Deschamps, absolute criminal, man. How he's not taking Camavinga, because you see the thing with France's midfield, yeah, their future midfield should be Chouameni, Camavinga, and Ryan Cherky in the 10. That should be their future midfield. 2 double pivots, you know, left and right foot, and then Ryan Cherky in the 10, Michael Elise on the right, Dembele false 9, Mbappe from the left, and then Doué trying to get in somewhere. That should be their future attack. But he's in love with Adrian Rabiot, which is an absolute joke, really. Even though Rabiot is a good player, but yeah, man, it's frustrating, isn't it? But listen, just get me Camavinga to the theatre of dreams, man. Get him to the theatre of dreams. Has to be done. You still playing ball now? Nah, man, I'm not. I mean, I was playing 5-a-side, but I haven't played 5-a-side in a little bit. I'm literally just more. I'll be honest with you, yeah. I just more focus in the gym and on the channel, man. You know, again, I've had years of playing football, man, and at the moment, yeah, I'm not really playing at the moment, man. To be fair, I do miss it, but yeah, as I said, I've got other focuses at the moment, you know. Gav, when did you first know you were good at football? From the very moment, man, I started kicking the ball. Nah, listen, I in actual fact, yeah, like this might be surprising some of you, yeah. But I actually first started doing judo. Judo was my first sport I done, you know, and then I started doing judo and football. And then obviously football just took over, really, you know. And as I said, man, the rest is history. But yeah, I think once you got a love for something, you end up just just being more and more consistent with it, really, innit? Yeah, I agree, man. He could have been the Matuidi. I agree. Did you see that Real Madrid news about bidding for some 150? Yeah, listen, I see that, yeah. But what I want to draw people towards, yeah, like I actually do think Madrid are going to spend money, yeah. But what you have to realize is that the fact that the other guy, I forgot his name, was it Enrique Riquelme or something like that? When it's elections, yeah, they're going to say the maddest of things because it's about getting the fans on board. So, like, let's say if it was me, yeah, that was going for the elections, yeah, I would say something mad like, um, if I'm elected, I'm gonna go and spend, I don't know, 300 million on getting Michael Elise, Kvaratskhelia, and Pedri. Like, you know, obviously I'm at Real Madrid, but I'll say Vitinha. So I would say something reckless like that. It's never going to happen, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is what these guys are going to do because the fact that he said he wants Erling Haaland, the fan base will start getting excited. It's not going to happen because he's on a death row contract. Now, if you've got Perez saying they're going to spend 130 million on an unnamed player, it's getting everyone intrigued as to who that player could be. So it's basically it's clever, because obviously it's getting everyone talking, yeah. And obviously he's saying it's not no one in the Premier League. Now, if it's a midfielder, I think anyone with a brain knows who it is. Oh, good save. Oh, 2-0. It's a poor save. 2-0 Spain. I think anyone with a brain knows who he's talking about. Yeah. It's between two players. It's either Vitinha or João Neves. And I actually think it's Vitinha. It's not really rocket science who he's talking about. Because if you're looking at world-class midfielders that will cost about that amount, and you're not looking at England where it can't be a Moises Caicedo or whatever, yeah. It's no one in Italy. It's no one in Germany. It's no one in Spain. So you look at who's the best team in the world right now, PSG. Who do PSG have in their midfield that's rated as one of the best in the world? Vitinha. So for me, it's Vitinha, but I don't think they let Vitinha go. And again, they're linked with Matthias Fernandes, yeah? If Vitinha or João Neves go, he's the replacement for them. So that's what's going to happen for me, you know? Big up to Karen, man, says, reckon you would do good in coaching. Your ball knowledge is top tier. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, bro, listen, I've played, I've coached, I've watched all my life. So, as I said, man, when it comes to football, man, I'll be honest with you, there's not much I don't really know about football. That's just one sport that I'm invested in. You know what I'm trying to say? So, and as I said, man, I've had ridiculous experiences in football. So when it comes to just knowing football and how I break down certain things, you know, again, it's only for really a small kind of circle, because I think, if you haven't got the patience to really break down certain things in football, that's what I like to do, really, and it's one of them things, man. I enjoy talking about football, and this is why when I've mentioned something small like Man United are linked to a lot of right-footed central midfielders. No one's talking about left-footed central midfielders, which is criminal, because you look at all the best teams, yeah, and you look at Spain. Spain at this moment in time are probably the best footballing nation, yeah. Look at what they do with their midfield. There's no surprise, yeah, why I don't rate Mikel Merino like that, yeah. But there's a reason why Merino's in the squad and he's behind Fabian Ruiz, because he's left-footed, and it adds balance to that side of the pitch, and this is why I'm saying Man United are just linked with right-footed midfielders. Needs to be a left-footed one. Needs to be. But no, big up yourself, man. Anyway, appreciate it. Guys, make sure you're smashing the likes as well. Make sure you're smashing the likes. It looks like Bellingham won't start for them. He should just focus on the cricket team he purchased. What? Bellingham's got a cricket team, yeah? Listen, that guy there, yeah, he's one of the most overrated players I've ever seen. You know, it boils my blood, yeah. Someone that loves football like myself, yeah, having to watch him wear number 10. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Look at the amount of players throughout history of football, yeah, that have worn the number 10 shirt. Look at the history of football that have worn number 10 shirt. He's by far the worst. Because number 10s are meant to be your best players, your most talented players, your most mercurial. The number 10 is in the hands of a player that is a box crasher. Like, you can't tell me that's a problem. That's not a problem in football. Mad. Absolutely mad. Yeah, listen, Bayern looking at Rio. Listen, you see Vincent Kompany? Vincent Kompany's got it. He knows what he's doing because he's looking for young talent, yeah? He knows he was never getting Rio, by the way, because he's just gone to Liverpool. And you think of Rio and Elise either side of Kane. Listen. Yeah, Vincent Kompany knows, man. He knows. He knows. Will anyone sign Enzo? I mean, there's talking about Man City, innit? You know, Real Madrid's been linked as well. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. It depends what Xabi Alonso wants to do, really, innit? Dewsbury Hall, you know. Yeah. I think they will get Elise and Selvini or someone. Nah, they're not going to get Elise, man. They're not getting Elise because he's saying a midfielder, which is central midfield. They're saying central midfield. If Real Madrid got Michael Elise, yeah, they'll be dangerous. They'll be dangerous because, as I said, left-footed right wingers are few and far between. And you're looking at Yamal, Elise, Mason Greenwood. They're the best three in the world for me right now. Left-footed right wingers. Bellingham is still living off that 23-24 season. Yeah. And you had people telling us that Bellingham's a goal scorer. So how mad it is, isn't it? How mad it is. Yeah, he's poor, man. Poor player. Fabrizio said something about Elise. I'll be honest, yeah, I don't care what Fabrizio says. Like, it's impossible for Elise to leave because I don't even think 130 million will get him. I don't think it is because you have to think of it like this, yeah. If they sell Elise, who is the replacement for Elise? Because I've just mentioned, yeah, the only player right now that is a left-footed right winger better than Elise or on par with him is Lamine Yamal. He's the only one. So unless you're going to go and get Mason Greenwood and sell Elise, I hear it. And that could be a possibility, by the way. Bayern could sell Elise to Real Madrid and then go and get Greenwood, which would be a very good replacement. So that could happen, but I don't think 130 million gets him. Is London too crowded? 100%. London's a shithole. It's an absolute shithole, London. It's crap. Yeah, it's a shithole, man. But it is too overcrowded. You know what I mean? But, oh, this Vicky Lopez is dangerous. Right, Spain are causing problems. It's 2-0, you know. Or they could play a left-footed 10 out wide. But who would be that left-footed 10 then? Because remember, Real Madrid have got Franco Mastantuono as well. And they've got Arda Güler. And Arda Güler, for me, needs to be playing regularly next season as the 10. When I see Bellingham playing 10, yeah, and Güler is not playing there, it doesn't make sense to me. Hey, Güler and Elise swap. Hey. Do you know what? That's not the most craziest of things I've heard. That would be a very good swap deal. But, you know, you can't give up Elise, man. Elise is that good. And as good as as good as Goulet is as well, the only player you would say that you can give up Elise for me, is Lamine Yamal. That's it. But yeah, I wouldn't be getting rid of Goulet, man. Elise and swap Goulet. 2 top players though, no doubt. Why don't you move down on the south coast, more chilled? I live in the south coast, man. Don't worry about that. I live in the south coast. I'm in Gosport. That's where I am. Greenwood is a wasted talent. Signing him is horrid. PR never gonna happen. You know what I would say? Yeah, he's not a wasted talent, man, because he's still showing his talent right now. But it's just frustrating, man, that we haven't got him at Old Trafford anymore, because that's a generational talent right there, man. No doubt. It's annoying, man, that whatever happened, because, you know, we would have had a player there. Is that where you live? Yeah, cool. Because we would have had a talent there, man. That is, yeah, serious. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Lumi, what did you think of the celebrations for Arsenal after the defeat in the Champions League final? What did you think of the celebrations? Guys, we're going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, okay? So if you've got any other questions or comments for me, then put them in. We'll wrap up in a couple of minutes. God, this guy's on my screen, man. Bellingham. Mad. Yeah, big up, man. Big up yourself. I thought you subbed already, to be fair, but big up. You know ball. Hey, listen. I'll be honest with you, man. When it comes to football, man, it's yeah, man, it's my thing, man. But big up yourself anyway. Gav, do you live in South London? No, man, I don't. Why do you? No, I don't, man. I don't. But London is a shithole, man. I'll be honest. It's crap, man. I think the Champions League loss has put fire in us for next season. Listen, that fire will be put out very soon. That'll be put out very soon. I promise you, man. I promise you. You know what? I'm just looking to see what clubs do, man, in the transfer window. I'm so excited for this transfer window when it opens. Yeah, I just want to see what players teams sign. You know, obviously my team. You know, we're being linked. I mean, we got Edison in, but we need to be doing a lot more business. But I'm just excited for that, man, to see. Yeah, man. Listen, London. Bro. Listen, London's not the same, man. It's it's just, it's not great, man. Let's be honest. It's not great, man. You know, sometimes you're better off just staying in your yard, man, and just keeping it moving in it, because it's lawless out there, man. It's just mad. I hate when Chelsea fans sing "Champions of Europe." You'll never sing that. Well, yeah, listen, they're directing at the right people, isn't it? Guys, give me your England lineup for the first game. I want to see if anyone gets it spot on from what I done. So give me your England lineup before we wrap up. Gav, my sister's boyfriend owes a dealer too much. We are all worried about him. London isn't safe. But the problem is, man, you can't get yourself involved in that kind of situation in the first place. You know what I mean? Yeah, listen, London's just done, man. Like crazy, eh? Yeah, it's crazy, man. But I suppose everywhere, you know what I mean? Everywhere's got its problems in it. So you looking forward to next season? Yeah, I am. I am, man. I am. I just once I know what our transfer window is, I'll know more. I'll know more about what my expectations will be. And as I said, I just got a feeling Man United are going to do a madness in this window. And if we do a madness in this window, we're coming for the vacant title. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We are coming for the vacant title. Oh, he's in Sicily. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that, Lumi. Actually, yeah. Well, how was it? Was it good? You in the Champions League? You know we are, man. We won it. Have you? Have you won it, Mamba? Let us know, man. Let us know if you've won it. Let us know, man, if your hands have been on the Champions League trophy before. Because I've seen my team win it. Really good. It was beautiful. Good to hear, man. Well, who'd you go with? Family? Did you go with family, yeah? It doesn't matter. We won the league. You didn't win the league, man. The title's vacant. I've told you that already. I think the only people that think Arsenal won the league are the fans, Arsenal fans. But everyone knows that it's a VAR title. So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, the title is vacant, and Arsenal have to win something next season. Okay, big up. Gav, you still banging out the red wine and coke? You know what? Big up yourself. I've given it a break for a little bit, to be honest with you. I've given it a little break. But listen, you see that red wine and coke? Yeah, listen. You got to try it. Guys, if you haven't tried red wine and coke, it might sound a bit off key, but I'm telling you now, give it a try. But it's got to be Pepsi Cherry, by the way. It's got to be Pepsi Cherry. Who's this? Gav, would you had what's this? Would you have had Joshua Zirk? Oh, okay. So Gav, would you have had Joshua Zirks in the Netherlands squad? I think he lack of game time for us has cost him. Big up, man. I would have definitely had Joshua Zirksey in the Holland squad, 100%. But we all knew Zirksey wasn't going to go because we know Ronald Koeman's only picks players really that are playing, and I can't really blame Koeman too much because Zirksey hasn't been getting much game time, and this was always the risk that he was going to run. But And you see next season, because I do believe he's going to stay. Yeah, I'm praying Michael Carrick goes to a possession-based team, and if he does, the likes of Xerxes, the likes of Ahmad, you're going to see these guys come good. I'm telling you. So yeah, man. But the lack of game time has cost him, unfortunately. But we always knew that was going to happen. I just hope Xerxes can get some rest in and come back hungry. Gav, I think that is the squad. What squad? What do you mean? What squad? What squad we talking about, man? Have I missed something? Gav, how many glasses gets you giddy? What, red wine and coke? Probably about 2 or 3. I to be fair, I've not had that in ages, so yeah, it's on the back burner at the moment, but it's a decent drink, man. Pepsi cherry and red wine, man. It hits. I ain't gonna lie, it does. Gav, could you beat Tommy Fury if you had a world-class trainer for over a year? Me and Tommy Fury wouldn't fight, man. I think there's different weight category there. You know what I mean? But he's fighting. Who's he fighting? I swear he's fighting someone coming up. Who's he fighting again? I swear he's fighting someone. Can't remember. I could have sworn he's fighting someone, though. Yeah, 100%, man. Sene Lamens, what a keeper. That's it. Eddie Hall is fighting. That's the one, yeah. What a top goalkeeper Man United had, whoever scouted him. So it was Tony Coton. Tony Coton scouted him from Tony Coton was an ex-Man United goalkeeper as well. So I think he scouted him. But Lamens, I told you, Lamens for me is gonna be one of the best keepers in the world. He's come in, yeah. He's come in this season. And he's been the best goalkeeper since he's arrived. Going by the stats. I'm telling you. He's a top keeper, man. And the one thing I like about Lamens is that is his composure. His composure is unreal. You know, he comes for crosses, calm. His shot stopping's on point. But if you look at a lot of the goalkeepers anyway, they are all good shot stoppers, really. You know what I mean? But it's the concentration that takes you to another level. You know, but he's a top keeper, man. His kicking's very good off both feet. So yeah, man, he's a top keeper, man. A loft ladder, you know. I see that Mason Greenwood's not going Fenerbahce. What are we doing there? Listen, you see Greenwood, yeah? He's going to end up at a top team. He ain't going Turkey, man. Impossible. Impossible. Nah, that ain't going to happen. Unless Fenerbahce are offering him $500,000 a week, he's not going to go Fenerbahce, man. It's not going to happen. United missed out on Iraola. Not really. I like Iraola, but I'm happy with Carrick, man. Carrick done a good job, and as I said, I want to see what Carrick does next season with this team because I just need to be seeing some good football, man. And the fact that he's already said, you know, the team don't play the way that he sees, can only be confident that. Does JJ Gabriel break into the team next season? He'll be part of the squad. He'll be part of the squad for me. You know, he'll be part of the squad. He would have already been part of the squad this season, but he's too young. So he'll be part of the squad next season. But yeah, man, I'm optimistic. But if he's getting, you know, a couple of minutes here, then everywhere, that's the main thing. You know what I'm trying to say? So but guys, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Big up to yourselves each and every time. Guys, make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you you sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. And guys, make sure you hype the channel. Make sure you hype the channel as well. And I got one more to do tomorrow, which is the you know, the World Cup major team squads. Obviously, the last one is Argentina. So yeah, make sure you guys come through. I'm not sure what time I'm going to be live, but as always, make sure your notifications are on. Press that notification bell to see when I go live, and make sure you're interacting. As I said, this is a World Cup major team squad. It's all in the playlist as well. So again, if you want to see me discuss other teams on there, then yeah, make sure you give that a check and check out all the other content on the playlist as well. And if there's any Man United news, you know, or any major news, you know, I will be reacting to it, you know, whether it's an upload or a live, I'll see. And as I said, appreciate everyone coming through and interacting. Lumi says Rio or Dalman. I like both players, but I think you have to say Rio at the moment. So yeah, but yeah, guys, big up to yourselves each and every time. As I say, make sure you smash the like button, make sure you sub to the channel, make sure you share the channel and hype the channel. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.